Mesachta Menochos Daf Mem Vav Amud Aleph. We're starting from Mem Hey Amud Beis. The Mem Hey Amud Beis is the last words of the last line, the last couple of words. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Zog Yimara. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Hakol Meidim. Shem Huskok Huzelazah. Meaning, if the Shtei Alechem and the kvasim that's brought, the kvasim that was brought with the Shtei Alechem, there was Shtei kvasim specifically brought, not part of the Shiva kvasim. So it's connected. If that once they are Neschab and they become like one, Shemakman says that you can't be makiv either one without the other. Ve'eza hu zika shalahem. What makes them one? What makes the kvasim and the Shtei Alechem one, that you can't do one without the other? You must have both. What connects the two? Shchita. The Shchita. Ola said, Bob Marava, they asked the Shaina in Eretz Yisrael, Tnufa is a zika, Eina is a zika. Maybe the raising, so given out Tnufa, that they had to elevate the two kvasim and the Shtei Alechem. Yeah, sure. It says, I think the pasuk, of course, a Shepsalach. Okay, yeah, still heavy. Yeah. There was two Tnufas. There was one Tnufa that was done, one before Shchita and one after the Shchita. So there was a Tnufa before, so maybe the Zika, that it became, the Kvasim became, it's on the left side. Yeah. Some that's on the animals. Alechem for the Bikurim, for the Bikurim, no for the Hashem. A raising before the Hashem, our snake Kvasim, for the snake Kvasim Kedishiyah. We had this pasuk yesterday. Anyway, the Kitzur, there's two Tnufas. There's a Tnufa before the Shechita, and there's a Tnufa after. So maybe that Tnufa from before the Shechita already made the connection and made it one. So I can answer you from the words of Rabbi Yochanan himself. The Rabbi Yochanan, Shechita is a Zika. The Shechita makes the Zika. That means Nicht the Tnufa. No, the Tnufa was before. He says, the the Shechita is going to make the connection. Meklal, the Tnufa is a Zika. It's a right that the Tnufa before the Shechita doesn't make the connection. So, who says so? The Rabbi Yochanan Gufa coming by Rabbi Yochanan himself, he said Shechita, but he wasn't sure. He said, Mivshep Shitale, was it Pashat? Rabbi Yochanan Shechita is a Zika? He wasn't sure. How do you know he was sure? Or maybe Taka, yeah. Maybe he was sure that the Shechita does make the Zika. But the Tnufi was Mesupik. Teiku. So we're not sure if the Tnufa also makes the Zika. Rabbi Yehuda Chanina said to Rabbi Yeshua, but Siv. From this that it says in the Torah, Kodesh Yihu Lashem. If you look on the pasuk, the last words is Kodesh Yihu Lashem La Koyin. When does it go to the Koyin? After the Tnufa. So if it's after the Tnufa, but it's Tnufiksiv. The words of Kodesh Yihu Lashem La Koyin, that it goes to the Koyin, is after it says, the beginning of the pasuk says Vehiniv Koyin Oisam Allah Habikurim, and so it's so the Kodesh Yihu is way after the Tnufa. So what are you talking about? It's after the Tnufa. It has not. So the Tnufa didn't make it one. Upligi Benanas Rabbi Akiva. Nevertheless, Benanas Rabbi Akiva were arguing if you could bring the Shtei Alechem B'li Hakvasim. You remember that Benanas says the Ikid is the Kvasim. And you can bring the kvasim without the lechem, but the lechem without the kvasim not. Rabbi Akiva says the is the lechem. Okay, and therefore you can bring the lechem without the kvasim, but the kvasim without the lechem you can't. But so b'peil mamish, you see there was a machlokes even after the tnufa. So Zarai the tnufa doesn't. Says you want to like taimech basa tnufa loy basa shchita. Well, I mean this words kodesh yil Hashem comes after the shchita also. So if it's way after the shchita, and we still had a machlekes, so maybe the shchita doesn't make it one. So elamai yislach meima. So what are you going to say? Something that makes it one, the lachem with the kvasim. So he says meikorakoi. It means that the pasuk says before the shchita. We're talking about all before the tnufa. This pasuk is behenif. But he didn't do it yet. Before the tnufa, he's talking about what's going to be the end. It means something that at the end, then it's not given to the kohen before the shechita. It means means something at the end that if the shechita korban will be given to the kohen. By the tnufa, we're going to say to something that if the hanafa, that's when it will go to the kohen. So you can't prove from this pasuk that the tnufa, that it means if the tnufa, we're talking about that it's the pasuk is talking about before the shechita. There's man before the shechita and there's man before the tnufa, and the end of the pasuk says, which is something at the end, if it's the shechita or after the tnufa, it will go to the kohen.
It doesn't say shechita in the pasuk.
No, but it goes to the kohen. Obviously, it's after the hakrava. There had to be a shechita. But he's saying, but the pasuk is talking about before this man of the shechita, before this man of the tnufa. He said, and the pasuk is talking about the future. Now it's before this man of shechita and tnufa, and he's talking about the future, that the end will be that it will go to the kohen after the shechita or after the tnufa. So you have no proof which one is going to make it. If it's the tnufa that's binding the kvasim with the lechem or the shechita. No, so he says v'heinif means he will, but right now it's before the hanafa. And this that says kodesh. The hanafa, he's talking about before the hanafa. He's talking about before the shechita, and he's talking about the future will be that after the hanafa and the shechita will go to the kohen. So you can't prove which one is binding the lechem with the kvasim. Like you want to shechita who says does the shechita do the binding or the minhal is your kasha? It says when again carbon trader. First of all, you have to know by carbon trader there were 40 lechamim that were brought. 30 were from matzahs and 10 were from chametz. And a tenth of each one was given to the kohen. From each category, one was given to the kohen. So it was a tenth of course there's 10. For each category, one was given to him. So what happened? Again, you have to know that the Torah was brought with behemoths. So it was brought with kabbanis. If you want to see over here, he says, he doesn't bring down which kabbanis, but it says that it was brought with a carbon. Of course, the Torah was given for somebody, he was sick and he was healed, so he has to bring a carbon with the 40 lechamim. Right. So here we're talking actually shchata, before he shechted the carbon Torah, nifras lachma. Before he was able to shech the carbon, one of the lechamim breads broke, so it's no more 40. He says it's still before the shechita, so yavi lachem ache, he brings a different bread, and then he shechs the carbon Torah. But if mishashechata, let's say he already slaughtered the carbon, and then nifras lachma, but it's before the zrika, but the bread broke, he says Adam Yezarik. So the blood you spray, but not outside Toida, because the zika is the finishing point. But this, it broke already before the zika. So he says, do the zika, but nicht outside Toida, outside Shlamim. V'habasa yachel, the meat you eat, v'dei nidrei, the basa of the kam Shlamim, v'dei nidrei lo yatsa. But the Baal HaKam wasn't Yaitz the Kam Toida, he has to bring another Kam Toida, that went for a Shlamim. But Halechem Pasel, and the Lechem became Pasel to eat because it was broken before the Zikas Adam, that's Mate to eat. The Zikas Adam is the one that is Mate.
It has to be like a whole lechem.
It has to be a whole Lechem. If it's broken, you have to bring another Lechem. But the Basi can eat Mitzad HaShlamim. But Mitzad HaLechem, you need the Zrika of the Dam to be Mate. But it broke before the Zrika of the Dam. So no, it becomes nifsal. That's not lechem.
Well, you have to throw it away?
Yeah, you wait overnight till it becomes deformed and then you burn it. What's if the blood was sprayed and then it broke? Oh, says the no, then it's all right. You don't give the kohen a broken one. You can show a whole one. Allah paras instead of the broken one. The broken one, the Baal HaTorah takes for himself. Okay.
Didn't you say there were 40?
40, yeah.
What do you mean
But
this one?
the coin gets 10th of each category, one from each one. So he can't give him the broken one and I'll keep the whole ones for myself. No. The whole one goes to the coin. He gets 4 whole ones. And that broken one that it broke, the Balateda keeps it for himself. Of course, he has so much more, but he can't.
He gets a tenth of the poor.
Of the 40, yeah, of each category. It's different.
But you said you're missing one already.
Not missing, it's broken.
So therefore, it's
So he
not-
says
it's
the
not available.
Balateda keeps the broken one and the Shlamim goes to the Kayah. So now comes to a different psul. Till now we spoke about the psul was that a bread broke. Now we're going to talk about the psul of chutz. You're not allowed to take the lecham outside the azara. So what happened? Before he shachted the top of the yatsa lachma, he took out one of the lachans out of the walls of Yerushalayim. I'm sorry, out of the walls of Yerushalayim, and that's the psul yetza. Says the Gemara, if it's before the shechita, machnisa, bring it back in, and then v'sheichet and yishach the commentator. Oh, but Misha is similar to before how we do the psul. Misha shchata. But what's if he already he slaughtered, he geshachted?
It's like a broken challah.
Right, same thing. Yotza, then lachma, and then he took it out of the walls of Yerushalayim. Then, so it's before the zika. He says, Adam yizarik, the dam you spray for shlamim. Va'abasa yachal, the meat will be eaten as a shlamim. Aber v'dei nidrei lo yotza. Al tzaneda from Taida, he has to bring another one.
So the same din.
Same din. It's just a different psul. V'alachem pasel. And the lachem is possible to eat it because the zikas adam it would happen after it broke, so it already became possible. Nizik adam. What's if he first sprayed the dam, and then he took the bread outside the walls of Yerushalayim? So he says, "Toidem imasha b'fnim al masha b'chutz." He takes the one that's inside for the one on the outside. Of course, the one on the outside is possible, and he takes that one. He gives it to the kohen. And the one that's outside he loses. It's possible. I think you can count it as the minyan, but you can't give it to the kohen. But you can count it as the minyan. But that one he can eat. No, that one is possible. But you can count it. But the rest he can eat. All the other ones he can.
If it's broken, also can count it for the minion, but he can't use it.
No, by the broken one he could eat it. Yeah, he could eat it. Here the psul is he took it out of Yerushalayim, chutz, so that he can eat. It's a difference, a little bit of a difference. So he says because the davar sheyesh by kedushas hakuf sheyatz mechutz l'mekayme nivsal v'nesel oilam. That's already awesome. Okay, imat shaloish chata. Here's a new one. Now we're not talking about the psul of chutz or the psul of that it broke. Now we're going to talk about it became possible because it's tummy, became tummy. Imat shaloish chata. The lechamim, the breads.
The bread became
No, one. We're going to talk about it. All of them. It doesn't matter. But here we're talking about one. He says one. One of the breads became tamei. Maybe lechem achem sheichet. He could exchange that lechem that became. It's before the shechita, the tamei, and he replaces it. But what if he already shechted it and then nitma lachma, and then that one bread became tamei? Adam yizarik. He sprays the blood now l'shem toida. He could. Here's the only difference. And the meat he eats l'shem toida. He was yaitz yatsa. He was yaitz at the toida. Not like by the psul yaitza or by the psul that it broke. Here it's going to be good. Why? Because we learned before that tzitz is menatz ala tamei. Oh, but lechem pasel, the lechem is pasel. Factasis, what do you mean the lechem is pasel? If it's menatz, why shouldn't he be up to eat it? Why is it different? So therefore, Taisus gives a whole different guess. I can read here. Taisus t'mama gesazu mikinu shatzitz menatz and you're allowed to spray the blood l'shem toida. So why shouldn't he eat the shalachamim? Why shouldn't he be up to eat it? The shaloinit those that didn't become tamei. Okay, so and he gives a different gissa. Nizik adam. What's if it became tamei after he sprayed the blood? Toidim and hatoir. Then he just takes from the tahirim al hatamei You can count the tummy. You can't eat the tummy, but you can count the tummy as 40, and he has to give him 4.
You still have to give him
You
4.
still have to give him 4. Now, if you're going to say the shchita makes it 1, mekivan the huskiku, since the taida, and meaning the carbon and the lechem became 1, zelazep through b'shchita, through the shchita, if so lechem, so the lechem should have become possible. You said the lechem. We said the lechem is not a puzzle, right? So tifsanamic taida, the taida should also become puzzle. You said before that you could be makriv as a shlamim. He says, you remember the first case? If the bread broke, nifras lachma. If it was after the zika hadam yizarek, but he says it's the bread is puzzle. But the blood you spray l'shem shlamim. How can it be l'shem shlamim? If the bread became puzzle, the behemoth should be puzzle. That's what we said. It's one thing. You can't separate it. And the Gemara shiny Taida the Achmana Karya shlamim. Taida is different. The Taida calls it shlamim. Masha shlamim kreib b'loy lachem. Av Taida kreib b'loy lachem. Just like shlamim.
Because it becomes ice. It becomes ice at Taida. So therefore,
Where do we see that a Taida is called a shlamim? Because it says zevach Taida shlamov. So a Taida is called a shlamov.
I became a Taida before.
Huh? Doesn't matter. It also is called a shlamim. It says zevach Taida is called a shlamim. But his kasha is by the kivsei atzeres, where why by the kivsei atzeres we say it's possible, by the kivsei of the atzer. So he says because by kivsei atzeres you started off with a shlamim, so you can't change it to nothing. It started off as shlamim. No, it's a shlamim. From a Taida you can turn into transform a shlamim. Okay, so Gemara of the hakvasim. Rabbi Yimei said, if you're going to think to say that the tnufa makes it 1, so Avad Halechem, let's say he lost the bread, after the tnufa, he made a tnufa, the bread is halaring given of the hakvasim. So he says the kvasim should be puzzle, and it has to be brought to the Beis HaSeifa of the hakvasim. But if the kvasim got lost after the tnufa, of an alechem, so too the shtei alechem that became puzzle and it has to be burnt. Now, if you're going to say the tnufa didn't make the kvasim and the lechem 1, so heavy lechem kvasim the humfu, and then of an alechem, and then at first he did the hanafa with both. Everything was perfect. Then, right after the tnufa, the bread got lost. Behevi lechem acher, and he brought bread in its place. Oisai halechem, the ton tnufa, ein a ton tnufa. The Gemara wants to know if it was before the shchita, what happened? He brought lechem and kvasim, but it was still before the shchita. So we said, avad halechem, if it's before the shchita, he brings another lechem. So now the shaila is when he...
Doesn't make the zika then, right?
Right, that's what we just said. He said, now the part of the shaila is, and if you're going to say the tufa is not making the zika, only the shchita makes the zika. So now we're before the shchita. So what happened? He did the tnufa. We're going according now to the Salkadarik. It doesn't make the zika. It doesn't make it 1. And then before the shchita was lost, avad halachem, so behevi lachem achem im kaimei. So you're allowed to bring another lechem in its place because it's before the shchita. So the shaila is, ois halachem ton tnufa, eine ton tnufa. Does that bread need tnufa or not? Says the Gemara. So why is the shaila? The Gemara is asking, why is the shaila dafke by the lechem? What about the kvasim? If the kvasim got lost before the shchita and you replace it, does it need tnufa or not? Says the Gemara of the kvasim loyti baylach. The vade by tnufa. By the kvasim, there's no shaila. It needs tnufa because why does it need tnufa? So he says because because the tnufa that it says in the pasuk, I think what was the pasuk? Oisam is going on the behema. Here it says, And Rashi says, what does oisa mean? Es hakvasim. So that's how you know the kvasim need nufa.
So that's why it doesn't.
But it doesn't say by the shtei alechem the vehenif. The vehenif is really going on the kvasim. So that's vade bayit nufa. By the kvasim for sure you need nufa. The shaila was if you exchange it for another lechem, do you need nufa because the ikka of nufa was said by the kvasim. Ki tiboy lach avad alechem. If he lost lechem, says the Gemara like this. Rabbi Yirmiyah limits the shaila like this. He says, "Va'alib the ben nanes loy tiboy." According to Ben Nanes, there's no shaila. No kvasim ika. He says the kvasim is the ika. The kvasim, the lechem is the tafla. He learns out from yihiyu, where it talks about animals. That's the ika. The kvasim yesterday. So if the kvasim is the ika, so there for sure lechem you don't need to have the tnufa. Kiti bayilach adlibi Rabbi Akiva dama lechem ika. Who says the lechem is ika? What will be the din? Even the lachem ika bayit nufa. Since the lachem is the ika, does it still need? Maybe it needs another tnufa, and you replace it. Maybe it needs another tnufa. He says, or because even according to Rabbi Akiva, what's matter the lachem? The kvasim, the spraying the blood. Maybe leitzarich tnufa, because the tnufa is not the one that's being matter. The kvasim is. Teiko. Teach me a tarat kush the bais. Amalei abayil and other. I'm sure. Okay. Amalei mitlachilant nachten. You know with the cheskel. We have to come and free from the shailas. Amalei abayil and other. Maishna snake kvasim mekachi lachem makvi. Or maishna shiva kvasim parelim. The lay mekachi lachem lay makvi. He says, look, you saying there's many karbanis that was brought with the lechem, right? There was the shnei kivsei hashlamim that was brought with the lechem, right? But besides that, there was shiva kvasim, and there was ayol and shnei parim. I'm sorry, one par and shnei elim of a karmeila, and they weren't mekadosh the lechem and they're not ma'akiv. Why? Amalei, so Rava said back Abaya, Hoyel, since the Kivsei Hashlamim and the Lachem, they have in common that they both have in common that you have to make a tnufa, a raising of them. So Davke, the Kivsei Shlamim with the Lechem is going to be marked one the other because they have in common that there's a tnufa. What are you talking about? That's the reason.
And the other one is what?
The other ones there's no tufa. The shiva kvasim, the par echad, the shnei elim. No, there's no tufa there. So that's why it's not connected with lachem. When it comes to a korban toida, the lo yehuskaku, there they didn't warrant that the behema and the lachem zelazebet tufa. You don't have to. It says as hatoida v'lachmeh ein manifim mechayim by the toida. You don't do. There's no tnufa by the korban toida. It's only by the kivsei atzeres where there's a tnufa. The kivsei atzeres with the lachem. But by the toida there was no tnufa at all. And nevertheless, you say mekacho, ma'akva.
Because there were 40 challahs, no? Is that
the 40 challahs, yes, but there was no tnufa, and there was a cup. No, you don't have to pay. You pick up 10 at a time. Okay, so he says, Lo yehuskiku zela zebit tnufa, and nevertheless mekacho ma'akva. So don't tell me the tnufa is the part that makes the connection. So it says only the shtei alachim is ki toida, meaning that the korban toida is a dugma for all the kabbanis of the other lechamim. There's 3 categories of kabbanis of where you bring a behema with lechem. We're going to learn one is the atzeres, the shnei kivsei atzeres that was brought with the shvuis that was brought with the lechem. Then you have a korban toida that's brought with the 40 breads, and then you have by the nazir we're going to learn soon was also brought the korban with the breads. So he says that the shtei alechem is like a toida, meaning the from korban toida that the balachayim, which is brought with the lechem ma toida shlomim, just like the toida, only which one is connected. There's only one korban by toida. But what's the carbon that's brought with the lechamim? What's the carbon? What is the name of the carbon? Shlamim. So av hachanami, so too by the shtei halechem by atzeres, only which one will be connected with the lechem? The shlamim part, which is the shnei kivsei atzeres, which they are shlamim, hashlamim. So meaning that the hashlamim, that's the one that's mekadosh lechem, and it's ma'akiv it, but not the karbonis oila that's brought with it. How could you compare? Hasan by the Torah, lekas v'chimachnina b'hadei. There's only one carbon which is called shlamim, and there's no other karbonis, so that's why it's ma'akiv. They're connected. Hacha by hatzeres, the ikas v'chimachnina b'hadei. You have all the other karbonis, additional karbonis with the shlamim. You have the karbonis hayla. So the kachi hani v'hani, let both be connected and be one. That's all the like the shiva kvasim, the par, and the elim.
So either one that you lose should have an effect.
Yeah, all of them should have an effect that it should become one. There, you can't learn out from Toida only shlamim, because Toida was only a shlamim. There wasn't a mixture of other kabanis, so that's why we said it's connected. But over here, when you're talking about by
a big variety.
it says a whole variety. So say all of them became connected. Says you want to Ella, only we're going to learn out the snake.
Freeze the crowd, right?
So he says only where we're going to learn out the snake hashlamim of Shvuis is kimay el nazir, like the ram of the nazir. What does it say? The el shel nazir is hashlamim, but he brought two other kabanis. There was a el and a chatas also. So my el nazir afagav deikesvach makrinai, just like the el nazir by a nazir was brought with bread. But there were other kabbanis that was brought with it, a oila and a chatas besides the shlamim. But shlamim the mekache by the nazir, only which one made it the one and was ma'akiv? Only the shlamim. Midachni and loy, but no, the oila and the chatas didn't. So even when there's different ones, only the shlamim was the one. Achanami loishma. So too, by the kivsei shlamim of shvuis, even though there are other kabbanis, the oila will say only the shlamim is the one that made the lechem kodesh and made it one, and it's binded only with the shlamim. Thank you. What about husband Nolan? How do you know by Nazir? Dafke the aisle was the shlamim. Dafke the aisle was mekadosh the lechem by the Nazir. How do we know that? Says you wanted the Tanya because we learned in Abraisa. The Torah says v'esa aisle yasa zevach shlamim laHashem al salamatzis. It says the aisle which you shall make a zevach shlam as a kam shlam lashem for this melam shasal ba kechayv l'ayil. It comes to tell you this matzahs come as a chayv, as a part of the ram, which is the shlamim. Shchitas ha'ayil mekacham, and the slaughtering of the ayil is mekadesh the lechem. Lefika shchatish leilishmoy leikitcha lechem. If he shachted this behema, this ayil, which was supposed to be for a shlamim, and it was shalei lishma, then it's not going to be.
This is where by Yom?
By Nozi. That's how we know.
There's no tenufa by Nozi.
No, we're out of the tenufas. So you want to tell me about your land. Shtei halechem ha'bayis b'fnei atzman. If he only had shtei halechem, so he says yumfu, he does hanafa, raising, and then afterwards utuba nitzurasa. That means you have to let it go over the night because it becomes already hard. It loses its fresh tzura, and then you get to the base safe, and then you take it out to be burnt. Like, what's going on here? And here we're talking about, of course, Rabbi Akiva, who says, "What's the ikar? The lechem. The ikar is the lechem. So that's why you can be makiv the lechem. But he says you burn it. In fact, if the shtei halechem that he did that was brought b'fnei atzman, the halach is that you could eat it. Lechlino, let him eat it. And ila seif asyan, or if the din is that if the shtei halechem is brought alone, the mitzvah is to burn it. L'shefina la'alta, let him burn it right away. Lamalahu ibetzuna. Why do you have to wait till overnight?
That you have to burn it, that it comes alone.
That's what he says. Tell me what the mitzvah is. Rabbi Akiva says that the shtei halechem could be a carbon on its own. We don't need anything connected. So we want to understand, is the mitzvah, when he says a carbon on old, that you can eat it? So let him eat it. If the mitzvah is to burn it, so why do you have to wait till Tuba, Tzurasa? till overnight. Let him burn it right away. Amar Rabba,
Normally, you're supposed to bring it with what?
with a carbon.
The nazir.
Yeah. But he's not talking about a nazir. He says shtei alachim. If somebody brought just shtei alachim without the kabbalah, no, it's supposed to be with kvasim. But he only brought shtei alachim. Obviously, he didn't have kvasim.
What kind of carbon is he bringing?
For kivsei atzeres, let's say, even shtei alachim. He didn't have kvasim. Yeah. Amar Rabba, it's only carbon sibah v'shlomo. Amar Rabba said, "Leilam la'achila asiyam." Really, min ha'teira, yes, they're supposed to eat it. But why can't they eat it? Zayda, the Chacham said, no, don't eat it. Shemi yizdamu lahem kvasim l'shana haba v'yema eshtarke lo yachalnu lechem lo kvasim. The guy's going to say, I ate last year the lechem without kvasim. So now that I'm being kvasim, who cares? I ate last year lechem alone. Let me eat lechem alone. Ashav nami neichel. So now too I should be able to eat it without the kvasim. V'inu lo yadei the eshtarke lo yave kvasim. He won't know that last year there were no kvasim. That's why he ate it the lechem alone. Inu shaya nafshayu. They're going to be mata on their own. So hashtadike kvasim hu the sharalu. Now there's kvasim. The kvasim is the one that's mata it. So he won't know that. That's why they asked it if you bring the shtei alachim.
Doesn't know what's going on.
Rabbi said, "No, I mean a lot." How do I know to say that minatayda the shtei alachim is made to eat? The mitzvah is really to eat, and it's only because of a gzeira. Says, we learned in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda said, "Hey, Ben Buchri b'Yavne, Ben Buchri b'Yavne testified shekol kohen sheshekel. Every kohen that gives machzah shekel ain't a choyta. He's not a sinner." Okay, it says Zeh Yitnu Kol Ha'ived Al HaPikudim. So there's a machlekes. Amalei Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai loy yel kol kohen she'enei shekel choyta. So Rabbi Yochanan, they're arguing what's the pshat of Kol Ha'ived Al HaPikudim Yitim Machzah Shekel. So whoever was right to be counted from 20 years old and up was chayiv to give matzah shekel. Okay, but whoever wasn't able to be counted, like the koyanim, so would not be able to give. Would not be able to give. So that's why he would be chayta, or.
Why is that chayta? Because you don't have matzah shekel?
No, it says only those that are roy to be counted. Okay, those are the
like from 20 and higher.
20 or higher. So they were arguing: is it going on whoever came out of the midbar, or it means those that were Ival Pikudin, and the Levim were not counted? So that's what they were arguing. If it's a sin, if the kohen has to give matzah shekel or not. So according to Mandi Omer, that says a kohen should not give matzah shekel. So it says al shakoynim doishim mikra zel atzman. They dashen on their own. Chol minchas hakoyin, because if a kohen brings a mincha, kolol tiyeh lo yishachol. If a kohen brings his pravata mincha, then it has to be burnt. So he says now hayul oimo shtei alach v'nachma panim shalanu. The oimer and the shtei alachem and the lachma panim came from which money? From the matzah shekel. But if the Kahanim gave part of the Machzah Shekel, so it's a Minchas Kohen. How would they allow to eat it? Heich Ne'acholin. A Minchas Kohen has to be fully kolol tiyah, has to be completely burned. If they're part of the Machzah Shekel. But really they were wrong. Because they gave it out to be menadav to the Tzibur. And then the Minchas Kohen, the kolol tiyah is a privata, a Minchas Yochid. Not a Minchas Tzibur. Okay. So you want to Hani Shtei Alachem Heichdami. How does this case of Shtei Alachem talking about? If you're going to say the Shtei Alachem im hazavach that it's coming with the carbon, so how could the Kahanim ask Heich Nacholin? This is similar to a carbon toida that's brought with the bread. A kohen can give a carbon toida and eat the lachem. So if it was brought with a zevach, it's similar to a carbon toida. So what was the shayla? It's a mincha. It's not a mincha. You don't have to burn it. It's not a minchas kohen if it's brought with a zevach. Rather, the Mishnah is talking about that he brought only a mincha without a carbon. Vikatani, And we learn, how could the Kahanim eat it? So it's mashma, if you brought lechem alone, only Kahanim wouldn't be able to eat it because they participated. But normally, Alma, lachila asyan, it's made to eat. It's just the whole reason why the Kohanim shouldn't be able to eat it because they participated in the machzor shekel. So it's a minchas kohen, kolotiyah. But really, but Yisrael should be able to eat it. Okay, but normally we say it should be mutter to eat. Amalei Abaya. So Abaya answered back. La'olam b'emes the Mishnah is talking about bebayis imazevach. It's talking about that the mincha came with a zevach. Ayu the kakash elov meitedu v'lachma. It's it's just like a taida. You bring a carbon with lachem, even a kohen can eat from it. Says Gemara, lach meiteida leikru mincha. Lach meiteida is not called a mincha, but shtei halechem that's brought even with a carbon, ikru mincha, it's still called mincha. Shenama, like it says by the shtei halechem, it says by akrivchem mincha chadosh l'Hashem. He calls it mincha. So that's why it's called a mincha, even when it's brought with a zevach. By atzeres, meaning by the shtei halechem that was brought on Shavuos. Okay, Zokti Manu have Yisama. He gives a different answer. That not really. We said till now it's lachila. We proved that it's that if somebody brings shtei halechem alone and he does hanafa, it's really made to eat. It's just because of a gezerah the Rabbah that he next year. When this kvasim will say, I'm allowed to eat the lechem alone. Rabbi Yosef gives a different teretz. Loylam l'seif asya. Really, the mitzvah is to burn it. This is the reason why we don't burn it l'fishein seifim kachim b'yamtiv. We don't burn kachim that became pasul on yamtiv. That's why you have to wait till after yamtiv.
Which one? You don't burn mine?
Kachim that became pasul. So Abai said to Rabbi Yosef, "Mi dami hasam la mitzvah mikach." A psul is talking about the mitzvah is l'chatchila not to burn it. So since mitchila it was for achila, now because he brought it alone, it's made to burn it, right? I'm saying you're talking about something that became pasul. Here, it's l'chatchila the mitzvah to burn it. It is the mitzvah. So if that's a mitzvah, it should be mutter to burn it in Yom
That's only for kohen, what the kohen brings, right?
Any mincha, the shtei halechem, if he brings the shtei halechem alone. And you say, if he brings the shtei halechem alone, you have to bring it, that's the mitzvah to burn it. So why are you saying that the reason why we don't burn it on Yom Tov, because it's a psul. Here it's not a psul. Let us burn it immediately on Yom Tov. Just like the Par V'Sol Yom Kippurim, they too are burnt on Yom Tov. Rabbi Yosef says a different reason. The reason why he doesn't burn it right away, because he's waiting. Maybe there'll be kvasim, and the hidadik way is to do it with kvasim, with the animals, with the shtei halechem. So that's why he waits. Amalei Abaya Taina calls manakar. Yeah, that's a good answer. Why he doesn't burn it as long as he's able to be makar the kvasim, because maybe the kvasim will come. But once the time that you can't already be makar the kvasim, so listen, let him burn it right away. Why does the Brisa say you have to wait till overnight, till it's mabit?
What happened to the mincha? Anything happened to the mincha?
He brought a shtei halechem. So we don't burn it right away. He says, why don't we burn it right away? He says, why don't we burn it on Yom Tov right away? If it's a mitzvah to burn it, you're saying that it's to burn it because he wants to wait for kvasim. It's better to do it with kvasim and then he can eat it. So he says, if you're waiting already for kvasim, I understand. You don't burn it right away. Wait till this man ends from bringing kvasim and then burn it. Why do you have to wait? So why do you have to wait till it's uba tzirasam? My tuba tzirasam after the mother. My tuba tzirasam namidik. This that we said you wait till overnight till it's mabit tzirasam tzuras hakravasam, meaning the tzura of its normal hakrava, which is normal. Yeah, that you wait till the zman of the hakrava of the kfasam ends, and then you can burn it. You don't have to wait until overnight. Rabba Amalach Hilalasim. Rabbi says it's really the mitzvah is to eat it. And the reason is because of Gzerah de Rabbanan. And he doesn't hold, and he doesn't learn out that it's the mitzvahs lachila el mikra only from a pasuk. From where do I know that it's the mitzvahs lachila? It says by the shtei halachem, "Memoish ve'seichem taviu lechem tnufa bikurim laHashem." So the Torah calls the shtei halachem b'shem bikurim, to compare to bikurim. Ma bikurim ifnei atzma, just like bikurim is brought without a behema, without balachayim. Shtei halachem b'fnei atzma, so to the shtei halachem is brought without balachayim. Uminam, from this hakish we learn out ma bikurim lachila, just like bikurim is made to eat. Shtei halachem, when it's brought on its own, not lachila, is also made to eat.